The duality of being and Bukongo cosmology. The duality of being. Human beings consist of two parts, a visible body, the physical shell, an invisible spiritual component, the soul or a spiritual double. This soul has the ability to move outside the body, e.g. during dreams, and continues to exist after death. However, humans are not the only ones with this trait. All living and non-living things in nature can have a spiritual component, referred to as a spirit. Anthropologist Roberta Hamayan distinguishes between an individual soul and a general spirit, a distinction that will be explored later. This belief aligns with animism, where nature itself is alive with spiritual forces. In Siberian shamanism, this spiritual component is specific to each species. After death, it undergoes posthumous recycling and returns to animate a new body of the same species. However, during this phase, it can borrow any physical form for movement or temporary residence. The bipolar nature of reality. The world operates on a dualistic system characterized by the existence of two opposing but interwoven realms: the visible world, ordinary, everyday, and profane; the other world, sacred, hidden, and normally invisible to humans. Unlike the Judeo-Christian concept of the afterlife, which is closely tied to death, this other world is more like a parallel dimension that influences the physical world. This other world is inhabited by gods and their messengers, spirits, both benevolent and malevolent, ancestors and the dead, the masters of animals and plants, spiritual guardians of each species. These two realms are in constant interaction. The other world governs, animates, and coexists with the physical world. Just as in Greek mythology, the beings of this realm take on human-like forms and emotions, but possess greater power. Often they visit this world in disguise, especially at night, assuming the appearance of ordinary beings. What does Bukongo say? According to Kongo Cosmology, existence consists of multiple realms: the mineral realm, stones, metals, and earth; the vegetable realm, plants and trees; the animal realm, all living creatures; the human realm, the angelic realm, nature spirits and guardians; the divine realm, Bakulu Banunga, the highest spiritual beings. Bukongo teaches that humans are spirits clothed in a body. Thus, humans possess 7 bodies, each functioning on one of the 7 levels of existence on Earth. Similarly, the planet Earth itself has 7 layers of existence, each connected to a different dimension. An initiated Bukongo adept can travel between these 7 worlds, moving between dimensions. This is why reincarnation is central to Bukongo thought. Souls pass between different states of existence. A highly advanced adept who reaches the 5th degree of initiation becomes a bodiless entity that no longer requires a physical form to manifest. Such a being is known as Makoko, a master of the unseen realms. The power of a Makoko. In the 16th century, a European Christian missionary encountered a Makoko, a powerful Bukongo adept. The missionary witnessed incredible transformations. The Makoko turned into flames, a cloud, a straw, a human, an insect, and more. To the missionary, these powers seemed like the work of Satan. To the Banabi Congo, this was divine power. Even Mfumu Kimbangu, the legendary Congolese prophet, was said to have transformed into a cloud and an eagle, an act of divine mastery over existence. Understanding shamanism and spirit communication. Ethnologist Michel Perrin emphasizes that shamanism is based on a unique way of communicating between these two worlds. The other world communicates through signs and dreams. Messages from the other world come through dreams, visions, and symbols. However, most humans experience these communications randomly and rarely understand them. Shamans act as mediators between worlds. Shamans actively communicate with the other world through rituals, trances, and spiritual techniques. They act as interpreters of divine will and messengers for humanity. The other world grants them power, allowing them to understand the deeper meaning of events and influence fate. Thanks to the shaman, humanity can shape its own destiny instead of being a victim of random events. A shaman, through his abilities, transcends the limits of the physical and spiritual worlds, moving freely between them during his rituals. Conclusion. In both Bukongo cosmology and animistic shamanism, reality is structured into multiple dimensions where the physical and spiritual realms are deeply interconnected. Humans, spirits, gods, and ancestors are all part of an interwoven existence, constantly interacting. Certain individuals, shamans, initiates, and spiritual masters, can navigate these worlds at will, accessing hidden knowledge and divine power. This belief system sees the universe as a living, breathing entity, where all beings, animate and inanimate, carry a spiritual essence that flows through time, reincarnation, and transformation. Thus, the Bukongo initiate, like the shaman, is not bound by physical limits but is a traveler between worlds, shaping existence through spiritual mastery. In Kongo Cosmology, the belief in multiple dimensions and their interconnectedness plays a central role in understanding existence. The dimensions are not separate or isolated. They influence one another, creating a complex, fluid reality. These dimensions are often categorized into the physical realm, Nza Yina, and the spiritual or ancestral realm, Mpemba, but they are far more nuanced, with different layers and planes of existence. The dimensions in Bukongo thought: Nza Yina, the physical realm. This is the realm of the living, the world of physical existence and human experience. It is the domain where time and space are experienced in a linear fashion. This is where humans live their lives, make decisions, and interact with nature, other beings, and spirits. Influence from other dimensions. The actions in Nza Yina can influence the spiritual dimensions. For example, a person's spiritual well-being, their connection to the ancestors, and the fulfillment of spiritual rituals can impact the success or failure they experience in the physical world. Mpemba, the ancestral realm, the spiritual realm. The Mpemba is the realm of the ancestors, the spirits, and the divine. It is the home of the deceased, as well as the spiritual essence of the living that is connected to the higher powers and the supreme creator, Nzambi Mpungu. The spirits of the ancestors guide and protect the living, providing wisdom, warnings, and blessings. The relationship between the living and their ancestors is reciprocal. The living offer respect and rituals, and in return, the ancestors provide protection and insight. Influence from other dimensions. The actions and rituals performed in the physical realm can summon spiritual forces from the ancestral realm, allowing humans to gain knowledge, guidance, and strength. Rituals serve as a bridge between the two realms. Kala, Tukula, Luvemba, and Mpemba, the four phases of existence. These are cyclical phases that govern not only the life of the individual but also the entirety of the universe. They are all interconnected, with transitions from one phase to another being marked by specific rituals and spiritual practices. Kalath Dawn East, the phase of birth, beginnings, and spiritual renewal. This represents not just physical birth, but the spiritual birth of ideas, actions, and relationships. Tukula, life midday, north, the phase of adulthood, growth, and maturity. It is a time of achievement, power, and productivity in both the physical and spiritual realms. Luvemba, death, sunset, west, the phase of decline, wisdom, and transition. This phase signifies the journey toward the ancestral realm, where the deceased are honored and their guidance is sought. Mpemba, ancestral realm, midnight, south. This phase symbolizes the afterlife and the ultimate wisdom and peace found in the ancestral realm. It is not just a destination, but a place where energies from the other realms converge. The interactions between these dimensions. Bukongo Cosmology teaches that these realms are not just symbolic, but exist simultaneously and influence each other. The past, present, and future are not linear, but interconnected. A person can communicate with their ancestors from Mpemba to influence events happening in the physical world, Nza Yina. The future is not something set in stone, but can be shaped by the knowledge and wisdom gained from the spiritual realm through rituals, prophecies, and ancestral guidance. The past is constantly revisited and revered because it is believed to inform the present and shape the future. Prophecy and rituals in Bukongo. Prophecy in Bukongo belief is deeply rooted in the spiritual connection between the physical and ancestral realms. Prophets or spiritual leaders, known as diviners, can access these realms through ritual, meditation, or trance. Their prophecies come from the ancestors or higher spiritual beings who communicate messages about the future, warnings, guidance, or blessings. Divination. Rituals involving divination tools, such as bones, shells, or sacred objects, are used to interpret messages from the spiritual world. These tools allow the diviner to read the flow of energy between dimensions and offer insight into events that have not yet occurred. Initiation ceremonies, rituals of initiation into spiritual knowledge, often involve crossing over between dimensions. Through the initiation process, individuals are taught to access the wisdom of the ancestors and the spiritual forces that govern life. Healing ceremonies. Healing involves a deep connection between the physical body and the spiritual realm. Often, illness is believed to be caused by spiritual imbalances, and rituals are conducted to restore harmony by invoking spiritual forces. In these rituals, the Kongo Cosmogram, Dikenga, often plays a central role. It is used to represent the cyclical nature of life and death and helps those participating in the ritual to align their spiritual journey with the cosmic order. Through these practices, people can gain access to guidance from higher realms, allowing them to shape their destiny and understand the interconnectedness of all things in the universe. Yes, in Kongo spirituality, the belief that ancestors return to the living and maintain an active presence is a fundamental concept. This connection between the living and the ancestors is both spiritual and cyclical. The ancestors, who reside in the spiritual realm, Mpemba, continue to guide, protect, and influence the living. They are seen as an integral part of one's life journey, and their presence is felt across generations. The idea that ancestors come back or are always present is tied to the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, which is a central tenet of Kongo cosmology, represented by the Kongo Cosmogram, Dikenga. The phases of existence, Kala, birth, Tukula, life, Luvemba, death, and Mpemba, ancestral realm, are not just separate stages but interconnected, where the spirits of the ancestors play an active role in both the living world and the spiritual realm. In relation to the Black Panther movie, the idea of ancestors returning is closely tied to the African cultural concept of ancestral communication. In the film, the characters like T'Challa, who communicate with the ancestors through ritual, experience these spiritual connections. The depiction of seeing ancestors from different generations, grandparents, parents, and even those long past, relates to this idea that time is not linear in the spiritual realm. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously, and one's ancestors are always a part of their spiritual journey. In the Kongo belief system, this concept is also linked to reincarnation. Some believe that the spirits of ancestors may return in the form of new family members, such as grandchildren, and continue their mission of guiding and protecting the family. This is why you might see familial resemblances or spiritual traits passed down through generations. It is the same soul or spiritual essence that returns, even though the physical form may change. In summary, the Kongo cosmology emphasizes the fluidity of time and the ongoing relationship between the living and their ancestors, which is reflected in the way Black Panther portrays ancestral presence and guidance across generations. The ancestors' return is not just symbolic, but an actual spiritual connection, where their wisdom continues to shape the lives of their descendants. Duality in multiple realms. Bukongo teaches that existence is multidimensional, with visible and invisible realms. The physical world, Nza Yina, is connected to the spiritual world, Mpemba, or the ancestral realm. This can be loosely compared to the idea of parallel worlds, where different dimensions influence each other. The concept of bilocation and spiritual doubles. Some Kongo beliefs include the idea of Simbi, spiritual entities, and Paka, shadows or spiritual doubles, which suggests that a person's essence can exist in multiple places at once. This could be interpreted as a form of a clone in a metaphysical sense. The soul's many forms. In Kikongo philosophy, a person is made up of multiple spiritual components. Moyo, life force, the energy that sustains a person. Kikudi, spirit essence. This can sometimes manifest independently of the body, similar to an astral projection or a parallel existence. Sacred science and the creation of life. There are oral traditions that speak of ancient Bantu knowledge related to creation and manipulation of life forces. Some Kongo traditions discuss Nenkisi, spiritual power objects that could hold life force, which might be compared to artificial life or cloning in a mystical sense. cosmic cycles and alternate realities. The Kongo Cosmogram, Dikenga, represents the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. It suggests that reality is cyclical and that souls transition between different states of existence. Some might interpret this as a form of reincarnation across different dimensions. Does Bukongo speak of clones directly? Not in the way modern science does, but it does recognize the existence of spiritual doubles, ancestral energies, and multiple layers of existence. If cloning were to be understood in a Bukongo framework, it might be seen as either a manipulation of divine creation, Nzambi's power, or an attempt to create a vessel without a true soul. What is the Kongo Cosmogram, Dikenga? The Dikenga, also called the Yoa cross, is a sacred symbol in Kongo spirituality that represents the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. It embodies the journey of the soul through different realms and the constant flow of energy between the physical and spiritual worlds. The four quadrants of the cosmogram, Kala, birth, dawn, east. This represents the beginning of existence. It is the phase of potential, growth, and infancy. The sun rises here, symbolizing new beginnings. Tukula, life, midday, north. This is the phase of adulthood and full energy. It represents strength, action, and achievement. The sun is at its peak, symbolizing the height of power. Luvemba, death, sunset, west. This is the phase of decline and transition into the ancestral realm. It is associated with old age, wisdom, and preparation for the afterlife. The sun sets here, marking the end of a physical journey. Mpemba, ancestral realm, midnight south. This is the phase of the afterlife and spiritual wisdom. The ancestors reside here, guiding the living. It is the realm of Nzambi Mpungu, the supreme creator. The center, the crossroads of existence. The middle of the Dikenga is where all dimensions meet. It represents balance, unity, and the connection between the living and the dead. This is a sacred space where spiritual enlightenment is achieved. How the Dikenga works. It teaches that life is a cycle. When one phase ends, another begins. It connects the physical world to the spiritual world. It is used in initiation rituals, healing ceremonies, and spiritual journeys. Dimensions and parallel realities in Bukongo thought. The physical world, Nza Yina, and the spiritual world, Mpemba, are constantly interacting. The Bukongo believe that the past, present, and future exist simultaneously and can influence one another. Through rituals and communication with ancestors, one can access spiritual knowledge from other realms. The souls of the righteous. 1 Enoch 22, 9-13. And there I saw the spirits of the dead, and the spirits of the righteous who were in the land of the living. They were constantly praying to the Most High, waiting for the judgment. Their souls were at rest until the final days. Reflects the belief that the righteous ancestors are not gone, but are in a state of waiting, with their prayers and influence ongoing. Intercession of the righteous. 1 Enoch 22, verse 3-8. Then I came to a place where there was a great hall, and the spirits of the righteous, who had been hidden, stood there, praising the Most High. They were praying for the sake of the world, pleading for the coming of the day of judgment. Shows that the righteous spirits intercede on behalf of the living, much like ancestral influence. The final judgment and the role of the ancestors. 1 Enoch 90, verse 28-29. And in those days the righteous will be exalted, and they will shine in the presence of the Most High. The righteous will be like the stars in the heavens, and the wicked will be like dust before the wind. Demonstrates the exalted role of ancestors and their participation in the final judgment. The spirits of the ancestors. 1 Enoch 39, verse 1-2. And in those days the righteous shall rise and shine like the sun, and their hearts will be filled with joy. They shall see their ancestors who have passed, and they will greet them in peace. Reinforces the idea that righteous ancestors continue to exist and will interact with the living in the final judgment. The intercession of the dead. 2 Maccabees 12:42-45. Turning to supplication, they prayed that the sin might be entirely blotted out. The noble Judas exhorted the people to keep themselves free from sin, for the sin which they had committed in the matter of the dead. It is a good and holy thought to pray for the dead, that they may be freed from sin. Highlights the practice of praying for the dead, showing a strong belief in the connection between the living and the deceased. The role of the angel Raphael and the ancestors, Tobit 12:12-15. I am Raphael, one of the 7 angels who stand ready and enter before the glory of the Lord. I have been sent to heal you, and I will now bring a message to your ancestors. Shows divine intervention in the spiritual realm and how messages can be sent between the living and the ancestors. Hi, I am Mikhail Massa. I invite you to the class to learn about our culture, rituals, spirituality, and practice. Join our Telegram group, subscribe, and share the video.